So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy Ellen. I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel, man. Salute, man. And we back with some more conspiracy theories, unexplained mysteries, and just overall craziness going on in the world. That's just the best way to say it, all right? But before we get to that, man, we got to unplug some more people out of the Matrix. And you do that by hitting the like button, then put in hashtag unplugged in the comment section. That's it. And if you're new, hit that subscribe button to join the family. Let's get to the craziness.
NASA has published this stunning new image from the James Webb telescope to mark 1 year since it started sending us images from deep space. It shows a small star-forming region in a complex of interstellar clouds closest to our solar system, about 390 light years from Earth. So I want to bring in CBS News senior national correspondent Mark Strassman to talk a little bit more about this. I know, Mark, you're working on a whole other story, but we thought we'd nab you because you're so good with our space coverage. Can you explain what we're seeing in these new images?
Yeah, I mean, look, for the last year, as you know, Webb has just produced this unprecedented cosmic slideshow, and these images are just the latest examples of that. So this is the nearest star-forming region to us, as you mentioned, about 390 light years away. And the interesting thing about this is that we sort of have an unobscured view of about 50 stars that are about the same size or maybe a little smaller than our own sun. And so it's an interesting glimpse as we look at this star-forming region into sort of the life cycle of our own sun and how it has matured. And for scientists, it's just another example of the unprecedented way in which Webb is sort of redefining our understanding of the cosmos. And look, you don't have to be a total space geek to appreciate this. I mean, you can just be the most casual stargazer and understand that, like, these images and what they represent and what scientists are learning from these images has all been just transformative.
Yeah, it really is. So when I was reading about the Webb telescope, what I learned actually just today is that it's picking up, you can correct me if I'm wrong, mid-infrared spectrum. So this is the sort of stuff that our eye can't see?
I can't see it. Infrared imagery, which produces images that no other telescope that's out there can produce. I mean, think of it this way.
That's our James Webb.
The Webb is a million miles from the Earth's orbit around the sun. If you think of the universe as about 14 billion years old, the Webb is able to look at the youngest stars, the youngest galaxies. That came into existence about 400 million years after the Big Bang. So think of it this way, Anne-Marie. We're looking at baby pictures of the universe.
Yep.
Okay? And I mean, who doesn't love baby pictures?
You know what? That's the best way I've heard somebody put it. You know what I mean? To kind of break it down to people. Looking at baby pictures of the universe. That's dope.
Think of it this way, Anne-Marie. We're looking at baby pictures of the universe. Okay? And I mean, who doesn't love baby pictures, right? So we're looking at baby pictures of the universe, and we're getting an understanding from these images of just like the deepest questions of all, like, well, how did all this happen? Where did all this begin? And the images have been majestic. They've been humbling, and as I say, transformative. I mean, something for
controversial. Yeah, because they're really making a lot of those theories that we've had for so long questionable. So
for true space scientists to study, to learn, to share with us, and to give us a greater sense of not only how the universe came into being, but our own place in this universe, and of course all the deep questions that go with that.
All I keep thinking is about that line from that old song, "You must have been a beautiful baby, because baby, look at you now," because the universe is absolutely gorgeous.
Exactly. That's exactly what we're talking about. You got it.
Mark, thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Lucy Gray. Welcome to the programme. We start with a historic mission to the moon and the launch of India's Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft. This is the moment that it took off just under an hour ago. It entered Earth's orbit shortly after. It's India's second attempt at a lunar landing, and if it's successful, the craft will deploy a rover near the moon's south pole next month, and India will become only the fourth country behind the US, the former Soviet Union and China to manage a controlled lunar landing. A little earlier, I spoke to astronomer and podcast host Jennifer Millard, who talked us through the launch of the rocket and explained how long it would take before it reaches the moon.
I don't care who you are, seeing that take off like that never gets old.
It's there, it'll orbit the moon a few times before attempting to deploy the lander and then the rover, which is contained within the lander. So yeah, we've got a little bit to wait. We're expecting it to get to the moon 23rd, 24th of August. That's the rough timeline. And then, yeah, hopefully India will become only the 4th nation to have a successful soft landing on the surface of the moon, which is absolutely incredible if you think about it. It's only the US, Russia and China that have achieved this. And yeah, India are going for it. You know, they haven't done too much in terms of space exploration. So this is a really ambitious mission, but that's what they tend to do. You know, they were the first Asian nation to reach Mars as well. They've got an orbiter around the moon now that's been operating for over 3 years very successfully as part of Chandrayaan-2. So yeah, expect great things from India in space in the future. So it was actually the Chandrayaan program that discovered water at the south pole of the moon and concretely discovered water on the moon. That was the first time that had ever been done. That was back in 2008. And then, of course, they're really making amazing progress, spending very little money on these projects. You know, when we look at NASA's, the budgets run into hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, whereas the Chandrayaan ones are doing it for $75 million, something like that. We spend more on making movies, and yet India are going to explore.
How are they able to do that?
I don't know, man. After the Titan submersible, bro, that kind of makes me cringe a little bit. Makes me a little nervous to hear stuff like that. I just hope they're not cutting costs in certain areas, you know what I mean?
So much more cheaply.
Right.
So again, it's doing things like taking their time, so using the least amount of fuel possible. That cuts down on the budget. Using smaller craft, so this rover, you know, is not the sort of size of a car that you would expect with the Martian rovers. This one is on its biggest dimension. It's about 1 meter long. And so then that reduces the cost as well. You know, lower mass as well is always cheaper. And it's very, very specific targets. You know, we only expect this rover to be working for 1 lunar day. That's one of the things with the timing of this mission as well, is to get there for the start of a lunar day. So we've got that full 2 weeks to make the most of all of that solar power to charge the batteries. And so it means that India can do these extraordinary missions and extraordinary science on a very, very low budget, and does show that you don't need to spend all of this money necessarily to do amazing exploration in space.
Jennifer Millard there. Well, let's speak now to Prasad Samramanian, who is a professor of at Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm assuming that you watched the launch and are following its progress. What can you tell us? What's your assessment of how things are going?
Things are going very well. Fingers crossed, but I believe we've passed the most crucial stage of the launch. And so as of now, things couldn't be going better.
So just to explain what's happened, there was blast off and then the boosters separated from the rocket, didn't they? Those boosters have now fallen into the ocean, and I understand it has now entered Earth's orbit. And then just if you could just explain what's happening, because it's going to orbit the Earth several times, isn't it, before it does this sort of slingshot movement and tries to get into the lunar orbit.
That's right, exactly. It's a matter of entering the moon's primarily the moon's gravitational pull, and it's a complex maneuver. And to be clear, the rover per se is going to land on the moon only in about 2 weeks or something like that from now.
23rd or 24th of August, they've said. Yeah.
That's right. Yes, something like that. So in between now and then, it's a lot of fairly complicated orbital dynamics that's going to happen.
Basically trying to build up speed, though, I understand. Yes.
The slingshot's a very good analogy. You need to get your stone right in the right trajectory. So that's pretty much what it is. But easily put.
The easy part, well, the really difficult part, apparently, is landing on the moon. And I know that India tried it once before and it didn't go so well. So talk us through why this is so tricky, what it involves.
To the extent I understand, it's a matter of It's think of trying to land on your feet while jumping the top of a building. You need to make sure your feet are strong. I wouldn't recommend this to anybody, but if you were trying to do that, you need to make sure your feet don't buckle, and there's a lot of rebound, and you're not very sure about the composition of the soil where you're landing. So all these things. So that's why it's a combination of mechanics and mostly mechanics.
So Sorry, I was just going to ask if you could explain what the mission is. As I said, the aim is to land on the South Pole. And we don't know a huge amount, do we, about the actual South Pole?
That's right. That's precisely why we're trying to go there. And the mission, the scientific objectives are manifold. Broadly put, lunar geochemistry and of course, presence of water ice. Which is the Holy Grail, and understanding how the lunar surface came to be what it is now, understanding the impact of the solar wind, something that I'm personally interested in, how the solar wind particles impact the moon's atmosphere, or the lack of it, and how they influence the geochemistry of the lunar surface. This is about as much as I broadly understand.
Yeah, well, so far so good. So we will see, I suppose, won't we, in the coming weeks. Thank you very much for talking to us, Prasad Subramanian, who is a professor at the Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research. Thank you.
Communist China wants to become the #1 superpower, overtaking the United States. We know this. What can be done about it? Give us your sense of the policy and the response that should be happening toward Communist China.
So I know President Xi better than I know you, which is pretty good.
Really?
Okay, yeah, I really think so. So I know him very well. I've dealt with him many times. He came up Mar-a-Lago, as you know. He stayed.
Well, he's not a friend of the United States, I don't think.
No, he doesn't hate the United States, but he loves China. He wants to take everything away from the United States. He wants to not destroy the United States. He just wants everything. You got to understand, this is a man who's at the top of his game. He's dealing with an incompetent person in Joe Biden. He's never seen anything like it. And I was very tough on China. I tariffed them to a level 25 and 50% everything. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars. By the way, the happiest person in the world was President Xi. And I got along with him great, but he is all for China. He doesn't care anything about our country. And I'll tell you this, he doesn't believe when he meets with Joe Biden, he thinks it's a joke. He can't believe, he sees this guy. If you would see President Xi, you can't duplicate him in Hollywood. There's nobody in Hollywood could play the role. These people, these leaders are at the top of their game. These are smart people, including Macron of France. I could go through the whole list of people, including Putin. Now, Putin's been wounded, probably. Let's see how it all turns out. You know, it's not over. I mean, one way or the other. But these people are sharp, tough, and generally vicious. They're vicious, and they're at the top of their game. We have a man that has no clue what's happening. It's the most dangerous time in the history of our country.
So what should be the response?
Ukraine would have never happened if I was president.
That's what I wanted to hear him talk about. Let's hear him talk about this. I wanted to hear him speak about his thoughts on it and what he would have done. It's always Monday morning quarterback, but I'm still anxious to hear what he would have done.
None of this stuff would have happened. You wouldn't have inflation, for one thing. But going back to that, Ukraine would have never happened. Taiwan, which will at some point happen under this group, would never have happened. You never heard these things being talked about. I knew about them because I'd be with President Xi. I'd talk, and he likes Taiwan a lot. And Putin liked Ukraine a lot. It was the apple of his eye. But he never made a move with me because he knew he couldn't do it. Remember this also with Putin. You know, they like to say, oh, Trump was soft. I was tougher on Russia than anybody in history with the sanctions and everything else.
You said you could end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours.
Yes, I could.
How would you do that?
I know Zelensky very well. I felt he was very honorable because when they asked him about the perfect phone call that I made, he said it was indeed he said it was, he didn't even know what they were talking about. He could have grandstanded, oh, I felt threatened.
Well, that's not going to be enough for Putin to stop bombing Ukraine.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that I know Zelensky very well and I know Putin very well, even better. And I had a good relationship, very good with both of them. I would tell Zelensky, no more, you got to make a deal. I would tell Putin, if you don't make a deal, we're going to give them a lot. We're going to give them more than they ever got if we have to. I will have the deal done in one day. One day.
Now, China apparently is setting up this spy center in Cuba, 100 miles away from Florida.
What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Put it in the comment section. Y'all just heard that, right? He said he would have the deal done in one. What do y'all think?
So what is the answer? What should the response be to communist China?
They will be closed down within, I don't want to say 24 hours, but very quickly. They will.
You mean the spy center in Cuba?
They can't have. Look, spy center is really bad. That's just the beginning. They're going to end up building military islands. You know, when opposite Japan, they said, yes, we're building a residential housing development. It turned out to be one of the world's largest military bases. Japan should have watched that. And I predicted, I said, there's no way. You know why? I looked at a 15,000-foot runway they were building. A Gulfstream doesn't need a 15,000-foot runway, okay? I looked at this plan. I said, look at the runway. That's for military fighter jets. That's for military planes. That has nothing to do with private. They said they were building a residential development on this island. Turns out to be a military base. That's what they do. You know, one of the things in Afghanistan that's so sad, we should have never left Bagram. We should have kept it because Bagram is one of the largest military bases in the world. It cost us billions of dollars to build many years ago. And forget about Afghanistan. You don't want it for that. You want it because it's 1 hour away from where China is building their nuclear weapons, Bagram. And they left at the dark of night.
Well, China has been much more aggressive in these last 2 years. We know that. Surveillance balloons, a spy balloon that traveled across the country.
You know, they weren't aggressive with me.
Police stations. That's what I want to ask you.
They were
Were you aware of this kind of surveillance program underway of America from China in your administration? Were you aware?
They would have never done it.
Was there a surveillance balloon flying?
No, there wasn't.
Never?
Never. They would have never done it to me.
Well, this administration, the Biden administration said, oh, this happened, this started under Trump.
They did, and then they took it back. They said, oh, you know, they said balloons over Trump. They never did. You know, these balloons are pretty big. You see those balloons. It was amazing that they sent this large balloon right over the middle of our country, by the way, over nuclear areas and other areas. And that you shoot that, if that happens, it would have never happened with me. It would have never happened with me. You should go back to another subject that you mentioned, Cuba. They're building military installations in Cuba, and the fake news media doesn't even talk about it. This is one of the most dangerous things, and nobody's even talking about it. China has to leave immediately, and they will. If I'm president, they will leave.
Let me get back to Taiwan, because we haven't touched on this. Should the U.S. help defend Taiwan if it means going to war with China?
Well, I don't want to say it because if I'm in the position of president, I don't want to say what I'm thinking. You know, if I answer that question, it'll put me in a very bad negotiating position. With that being said, Taiwan did take all of our chip business. You know, we used to make our own chips. Now they're made in Taiwan. 90% of the chips
advanced
are made in
semiconductor chips, 90% are
they
made in Taiwan.
have-
If
they
China goes in there, they'll be able to turn the world on and off. Isn't that right?
If China takes Taiwan, they will turn the world off, potentially. I mean, potentially. But remember this. Taiwan took, smart, brilliant, they took our business away. We should have stopped them. We should have taxed them. We should have tariffed them.
I want to ask you about these legal issues. You mentioned the indictment. Your team is asking for a postponement of a trial. Yeah. When do you want this postponed until?
Well, look, this is all election interference. There's no case here. It comes under the Presidential Records Act. I'm allowed to do this. I'm allowed to have all the records I want. In fact, the New York Times, believe it or not, did an article. Please, 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 Mr. President, may we have the documents? It only applies to me. It doesn't apply to a vice president. It doesn't apply to anybody else. The Presidential Records Act, 1977-78, they did this for and these people, you know, Jack Smith, whatever his name is, whatever his real name is, But Jack Smith is a thug. He's been overturned in the Supreme Court of the United States for horrible things that he did, horrible, horrible things. And I have to ask this also. Biden has probably 30 or 40 times the number of documents and boxes that I had. You don't even hear anything about it. He doesn't want to give them. He has boxes in Chinatown, and he's getting a lot of money at Chinatown. He's getting a lot of money from China. He's got boxes in Chinatown. Why are they in Chinatown? He's got boxes in his garage under his Corvette all over the floor of a garage with a garage door that you can cut open with a paper scissor. I have Mar-a-Lago, I have Secret Service protection, everything else. But even regardless of that, this is the Presidential Records Act. I'm allowed to do this. What they're doing is election interference. They want to try and damage my name so that I can't win the election. But so far, the people of our country see it. And my numbers have gone up as opposed to down because the people see it. It's a terrible thing. They've weaponized the Department of Justice. Do you know that they said...
Do you have any indication the judge will grant this motion?
I don't know. I know it's a very highly respected judge, a very smart judge, and a very strong judge.
Oh, you appointed her.
I did, and I'm very proud to have appointed her, but she's very smart and very strong and loves our country. I mean, loves our country. We need judges that love our country, so they do the right thing. But I say this, the Presidential Record Act gives you all of the rights to do this. Biden wasn't president. He didn't have the rights. And he's under investigation, not with Jack Smith, but with a very nice person. But he's got boxes at the University of Pennsylvania, great school. They pay him, China pays him $1 million a year. Did you know that? $1 million a year. They pay $50 million or something to Penn.
Well, they also paid Anthony Blinken.
They pay all of his staff. They pay everybody. Look, he is so compromised as a president. He's a crooked guy, and he's totally compromised.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. I do want to get to a developing story that we're following coming in out of Alabama. Take a look right there. Police in Alabama searching for a 25-year-old woman who vanished after telling a family member that she was stopping to check on a child she saw walking on the side of an interstate highway. Hoover police say Carly Nicole Russell called 911 Thursday night, and then a family member to say that she saw a young child walking on the side of I-459.
This story here is so strange to me. Like, now I know I've heard the update that she's been found, but this story is just strange.
When officers arrived at the location, they found Russell's car and her cell phone, but were unable to find her or a child in that area. Lieutenant Daniel Lowe with the police department said the family member on the phone with Russell lost contact with her even though the line remained open. He said a single witness reported possibly seeing a gray vehicle and a man standing outside of Carly's vehicle, but they have no additional information there. Our Fox Birmingham team spoke with folks who are in that area who are doing everything they can to find this woman.
It was
when y'all first heard this, what did y'all initially think? Did y'all initially think setup? Like somebody actually would use a baby to set you up to pull over because they know we all have tender spots for children. So you see a baby on the side of the road, you pull over it's just natural instinct to pull over and help, right? That's what I initially thought. Maybe somebody set her up, used the baby, pulled her, and then snatched her up.
Carly Russell's neighbors could think to do. Pray.
I mean, what else is there to do? I know that there's a lot of people out there searching for her, and I feel like this is the first place that we needed to do is just come before the Lord and just, you know, prayer is what I can do. I might not be able to get out and search for her, but I can do that.
Rallying around each other, praying for a girl they say often babysits many of their own children.
You know, our daughter just graduated from nursing school and travels down 459 all the time. And we know that she would, in a heartbeat, stop if she saw a toddler walking along the road. I mean, it's just human nature. It could be me just as easily as it could be Carlos. And my heart goes out to the Russells and what they're dealing with right now, because it could be me and you could be talking to Carlos.
For Carly's neighbors, the vigil is not the end of their efforts to bring her home.
This is what's going on in our world. I mean, and it's happening, and we're crazy not to think that it's happening right at our front door. And it's situations like this that, you know, bring awareness to everyone. But, you know, as a as a society, we need to be out there educating our community. This thing happening to children needs to be at the forefront of everything.
And that was our Fox Birmingham station with that report. As neighbors, folks in that area are doing everything they can to find the woman on your screen here, Carly Nicole Russell, who again called 911 Thursday night, then a family member, to say that she saw a young child walking on the side of Interstate 459. But when officers got there, they found Russell's car and her phone, but were unable to find her or the child. Hoover Police did hold a news conference late yesterday. We do have that. It's only about 6 minutes long, but I do want to play that for you here, raw and unfiltered.
I want to relay some of the facts as we know them so far and a few additional details that we've been able to uncover in this case. On July the 13th, at approximately 9:34 p.m., the Hoover 911 Center received a call from a 25-year-old female on I-459 southbound near mile marker 11. She reported that she saw a toddler walking on the side of the interstate. After calling 911, the caller stopped to check on the child and also called a family member to report the same details. The family member lost contact with the caller, but the line remained open. Police officers who were already en route to the location of the initial 911 call located the female's vehicle as well as some of her belongings at the scene.
That's the part that kind of throws me for a loop. You know what I mean? She called and then it just goes blank with the call still going. That's what I'm kind of confused on. Was the call still going? They didn't really clarify how that was. It was just like the call remained open or something like that when I heard it on the other story. But I don't know. That part is throwing me off.
We're unable to find her or a child in the area, and Hoover Police have not received any additional calls of someone missing a small child. Detectives are currently investigating these incidents and are requesting the public's assistance to help locate Carly Nicole Russell. She's described as a 25-year-old black female who is 5'4", 150 to 160 pounds. She was last seen wearing a black shirt, black pants, and white Nike tennis shoes. Carly got off work last night around 8:20 p.m. from a business at the Summit in Birmingham. She's also believed to have stopped to pick up food from a business at the Colonnade before driving towards Hoover on I-459, where she stopped near mile marker 11. That location is between the Galleria flyover and exit 10 for Highway 150. A single witness has reported possibly seeing a gray vehicle with a light-complected male standing outside of Carly's vehicle, but we have no further information on that individual or the vehicle at this time. No piece of information is too small in this investigation. If you have any information, please contact Detective Brad Fountain at 205-444-7562 or Sergeant Drew Mims at 205-739-7274. You can also call Crime Stoppers of Metro Alabama at 205-254-7777 if you wish to remain anonymous. An anonymous donor has offered $20,000 for the safe return of Carly Russell, in addition to $5,000 offered by Crime Stoppers. Again, you can call Crime Stoppers if you wish to remain anonymous, or you can call either of the investigators whose numbers I provided. The Hoover Police Department is currently partnering with many of our local, state, and federal partners in this investigation, and we're very grateful for the outpouring of support from our local community as well as the law enforcement community. We will continue to provide periodic updates as we have them, and we'll utilize our Twitter account at Hoover PD to release any pertinent information to the public. We would also ask the community to keep the Russell family in your thoughts and prayers during this very difficult time. At this time, I'll take a few of your questions.
Do you believe that she was taken by someone perhaps when she pulled her car off?
We currently are investigating every possibility in this case. We're certainly leaving nothing off the table.
Was her car door left open?
I don't know the answer to that.
And is there any mentality that this child might have been bait, or if there ever was a child? You said there's no missing.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Someone possibly using a child as bait to bait her to do that, possibly. But
again, with all of those details, we're leaving nothing off the table and no stone unturned in investigating some of these facts.
Are y'all getting a great deal of tips as a great deal of public awareness? I know folks are handing out flyers. Are you hearing from the public on this?
Yes, we are. We've received a lot of tips, and as each of them comes in, we're assigning investigators to investigate those and see where that information leads.
You may have said this already, but What are any other agencies assisting you? If so, what are they?
Yes, we've partnered with numerous local agencies, too many to name, as well as federal and state partners. Pretty much everybody that we have a great relationship with in law enforcement is involved in this investigation.
Have you had any sightings of Carly Russell?
We don't know. Again, when we get a tip, we investigate that and follow up to the best of our ability.
And I know that families organize their own search. Are the police doing any organized searches?
Yes, we have a myriad of resources. Everything we have at the Hoover Police Department, in addition to those partners, is involved in this investigation right now. As you said, the family is doing some searches as well, and we're maintaining very close contact with them in that process.
Do we know if Carly had hung up, or did the dispatcher hang up when you guys had got that initial call?
Carly was actually on the phone with a family member when the call was terminated. However, the phone line remained open, and we followed up from there.
But she had called 911, correct?
Yes.
So how did that 911 call in?
I'm not sure.
Is there a way we could get the 911 call?
I don't have that at this time to provide to you.
Family member said that
See, that's the part that's kind of getting me. That whole part of it remained open still.
they heard her scream before the line was left open. Have you guys heard that in your investigation so far?
The family has relayed everything that they are aware of to us, and again, we're following up with any information that we're provided.
The family asked if it was possible to put out an Ashanti alert, I believe. Is that something that could have been done when you guys got the notification that she went missing?
So alerts of that nature are handled by Aaliyah, and we've provided all the facts of the case as we currently know them to them for them to review the case, and if they deem that to be appropriate, they will issue an alert.
Can you tell us who people should contact over the weekend as the search kind of continues?
Yes, I'll repeat the same numbers. The two gentlemen to my right are Detective Brad Fountain and Sergeant Drew Mims. They're with our Crimes Against Persons unit. Detective Fountain's number is 205-444-7562. Sergeant Mims is 205-739-7274. And again, Crime Stoppers of Metro Alabama is 205-254-7777. And you can call any of those numbers. They have people that either get messages or can return calls very quickly.
Police arrived at the scene on Thursday night. Was her car running and was her phone located there at that location?
We did locate her cell phone at the scene. We're currently analyzing that phone to see if there's any information on there that could help us. As far as the condition of the vehicle, I'm not aware.
Have you ever had a stranger abduction in Denver?
I would have to check our records for that.
How common are they?
Again, each case is unique, and this case is certainly a unique instance in our city, and we're doing everything we can to solve it.
Is there a staging area that you guys would be staging for searching or anything like that?
The police department is handling all of our resources internally, and if we need additional resources, we'll reach out to our partner agencies.
Does the missing woman have any mental illness history or any physical
Good question.
conditions that people should be aware about?
I can't speak to that right now.
Last question. Interstate cameras matching some of the descriptions of the car. Is that matched in the area that was over and all that got out?
We're currently reviewing any resources like that we have available to determine if there's any usable evidence from that.
All right, so that was a news conference that was held just late yesterday, as that woman is still missing. If you do have any information, call the Hoover Police Department there in Alabama. And as we get any updates, we'll bring them to you live, raw, and unfiltered right here on Live Now from Fox.
Now, remember at the beginning of this particular video, I said that I was aware that she has since been found. Now, I'm waiting on the information to come out to see how or what they're trying. I just know she's been found. I don't know how she was found. I think I might have possibly heard she just showed up to the house or something like that. I don't know. But I'm waiting on more stories to come out so we can see have they gotten to the bottom of it and what happened. All right. But y'all get at me in the comment section, man, and let me know what you thought about these videos, bro. And stick around and stay tuned. Till next one, I'm gone. Peace.